How's it going, everybody? Lampini here again, and I have a quick video that I wanted to share with you guys. It's another Battlebots update. Yes, indeed, folks. I haven't made a Battlebots video in a very, very long time, but I wanted to update you guys on what I've been working on the last couple months, couple years, actually. Just a couple updates for some robots, and one that I actually built from the ground up a long time ago that I haven't really showed anybody. So I'm going to be doing two quick little updates on two of my robots and one robot that I made from the ground up. A couple years ago, actually. The first thing I wanted to talk about is good old Deathstalker over here. I modified him greatly. That actually massively impacted his performance. So the main adjustment that I made for him is I actually changed his the mechanics of his weapon, his blade, and how sturdy it is in mounting it in place. So looking at these old pictures here, you'll see that he had a motor coming out of the top, and the FingerTech blade hub was attached directly to the actual motor. Now, this would work. It would spin up, it would do damage and all that great stuff. But unfortunately, one thing that it did do a lot was come off. And after a while, the press fit that I had, because it was a modified blade hub, I had to screw it super wide to fit on the top of the motor. After a while, it wasn't working anymore, and it wouldn't stay on. And it was also incredibly unbalanced. It would wobble when it got to certain speeds. So I found a completely new solution. When you look at it here, this is the new motor, and it's got a really long shaft, and it has one of the new FingerTech blade hubs here. Cutting to another picture here so you get a little better view of it here. It has the better FingerTech blade hub, and there's actually a bearing block underneath it at the bottom there that the shaft goes all the way through to. So the shaft has support through the entire shaft, basically. The shaft is completely supported. So if you look here, you can see right here that the shaft goes right in there, and when it spins, you can see it's stable right there. So this has allowed the robot to be a lot more effective, and basically the blade works so much better. It's a night and day difference, that small little change. So that is one small thing that I did for Deathstalker, made him a lot more effective and a lot more deadly. The next update is one that I'm actually extremely proud of. On one of my crowning achievement robots, or I mean, not really crowning achievement robots, but it's on Mr. Nicotine Lips. So you guys all know Nicotine Lips. He was a beetle weight that I made. He's been one of my longest robots. I made him back in 2018. I used to call him Concussion. This is like back in 2018. We're talking 8 years ago now, which I think is pretty crazy to think that my robot building has almost spanned a decade. But he was made with originally FingerTech Spark motors, ESCs, like motors that were not good enough for beetle weight robots. Then I updated him. I gave him a new paint job. I renamed him Nicotine Lips. And I think that he is the apex predator of my robots. And by that I mean, if Nicotine Lips went up against Fatal Deviation, I think he would win. He's the only other beetle weight that I have. Well, I built another one, but you'll see. But I think he's the robot that I think has the best chance of actually winning in the competition, because he's a typical beetle weight drum spinner. But the one big thing that I wanted to fix with him was his wedge. It was a aluminum wedge, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of half-assed it. I just kind of, it screwed it to the side. It didn't have a lot of structural integrity. I wasn't happy with it. So I updated it, and I added a completely new wedge to the front. So, there you can see the new front end for Nicotine Lips. It is screwed on to the side with extremely big bolts onto the large nut strip that connects the drum mechanism. You'll see that right on the side there. It's all structurally sound. And then you'll see we have carbon fiber at the front, very strong, doesn't wobble. And then you just have this aluminum bit here to get extremely low to the ground. Under the hood, you can see that it has these nut strips on the side that attach it from the side up, and it overall creates a very, very sturdy, very strong looking wedge. The other thing that I made sure of was making sure that when the wedge goes up on the robot, you can see that it feeds right into the drum, and the drum can pop robots up and over. So that is pretty much it. I mean, it's a very small thing, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. The black all looks good. It's a lot sturdier. It works a lot better. You can see there. So that's one of the big changes with Nicotine Lips, and I think he's finally in a good place where I'm actually satisfied with his performance and kind of how he's built. So the main event here is a robot that I built a very, very long time ago from the ground up. Let me introduce you to Night Stalker. Yes, indeed, folks. Night Stalker is a beetle-weight robot that I built a long, long time ago. I made him probably January of 2024, I want to say, almost 2 years ago. I had the idea of making basically a beetle-weight version of Deathstalker. And that's kind of what I've done here. You can kind of see that Deathstalker and Night Stalker are basically the exact same design. You can see. They're basically the exact same design. But Night Stalker takes advantage of the new Fingertech Valkyrie blade. And he also doesn't have the same motor, the same drive solution, motor solution as Deathstalker. It's not a direct drive. It's actually driven by a pulley. So you can see here that there's a real big pulley in the front and then another smaller one that's actually screwed into the motor all the way around. And as it goes, you can see that with the mechanical advantage, because the pulley is so much bigger on the other side, it adds a lot of torque to it. Spins really fast and delivers a really big punch when it hits robots. Other than that, it is kind of pretty much the same as Nicotine Lips in terms of the electronics, the same spark motors, the same ESCs, the same batteries. It really wasn't much of a departure from any of my other beetle weights. The big like innovation, I'd say, I guess, is the actual blade itself and how I created the solution to be so far in the drive standpoint. And then I decided to go with the name Night Stalker because Deathstalker is the ant weight, and Night Stalker is actually the name of a pro wrestler back in WCW in the early 90s. He would later become Atom Bomb, Wrath, a lot of other guys in WCW. So, I mean, if you're a pro wrestling fan, you probably know who that guy is. But that's the name I went with, Night Stalker. But like I said, I still think Nicotine Lips would beat him if he went head-to-head. But don't worry, guys, because there is a part 2 to this Battlebots video where I built another robot from the ground up. You're going to have to wait and see what that one's all about. But I am telling you right now, you are actually going to see, for the very first time, some of my Battlebots going against each other. So you don't want to miss that. I'll probably release it, shortly after this video, because it'll be a part 2 to part 1. But I'll see you guys later. Be on the lookout for another robot video coming in the near future.